Alright guys, we are back again with another unit with Miss Norrid. We are starting 5.3, which is rounding decimal fractions. So you will be talking about rounding decimals, and we've already done rounding in units 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you'll continue to do rounding for the rest of your life, so might as well get good at it. Okay, so our lesson goal is just to round decimal fractions to a specified place value. Pretty simple, just like rounding any other regular number. How can a decimal be rounded to a specified place value? Well, you round decimals the same way you round regular numbers. Okay, and we'll look at those. So stop and think. It said place the numbers 3.4, 3.7, 3.55, 3.48, 3.41, and 3.69 on the number line below. So we have all these marks. I'm going to go ahead and fill in what I think these marks would be with black here so that we don't confuse ourselves. So I think since there's one mark in between, I think this is going to be 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7. So that gives us a better place to move from. So now that I have that, I know that each of those big lines is that. Now I can actually label what my numbers are. So I'm actually going to label them on top, if that's okay with you, in a different color so you can see. So 3.4, I already got it labeled here, but I'm going to do it in red just so you know that I did it. Okay, 3.7, look at that. Already got it over here, 2 down. Pretty simple. Okay, this is where they get a little trickier. 3.55. So I know that it's going to be close to 3.5, but not quite 3.6. And it's actually halfway in between. 3.55. How did I know that? Well, I know that 3.5 is here. So 3.51 is here, 3.52, 3.53, 3.54, and 3.55. And then all the way up to 3.5, all the way up to 3.6. Now I have 3.48. And so same thing here. I could say that there are 10 marks in between each of these. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at that, 3.48. I know my marks got a little closer together there at the end. It's supposed to be mostly even. Again, this is just eyeballing it a little bit. Now we have 3.41. Look at that. I already made a mark for that one. 3.41 and 3.69. Ooh, that's really close to 3.7. So I'm actually not even going to have to write it. I'm just going to, I know that 69 is 0.01 away from 0.7. So understanding my place value is going to be super helpful. How did you determine where to put the numbers with hundredths? Well, first you use the tens place, right? We identified which tenth they would be closest to. So in our head, we kind of rounded to the tenths place, right? And then we split up in between those tenths. Remember that in between a tenth and a hundredth is 10. It's 10 times bigger. To represent hundredths. Sorry, my handwriting, I'm used to writing in cursive, so it's a little sloppy when I try and quickly print. Okay, so pretty nifty. So we kind of just mentally practice some rounding without actually rounding, which is cool. That's a cool thing about rounding. Sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. And of course, the next thing you're going to do, hop onto that Moodle course, our online course, and watch that video. Here are some notes that you are to fill out while you're watching that video, just to kind of help you out, okay? So you're going to do this. There's not a whole lot of notes here. And then we have an activity. This activity also requires a dice, 6 or 10-sided, but remember from 5.1 we were able to Google a die, so you can also do that here. And your objective of this game is to create the smallest number when rounded to a certain place value. So with a partner or by yourself, pick a place value to round to in this round of play, 1s through 10,000s. So remember a place value, we have, I'm just going to write out our basic place value here. This is hundreds, tens, ones, and this is, we don't have a once place, so it jumps straight to tenths place. And that is the part that confuses a lot of people. Tenths, hundredths is this one right here. Thousandths is this one right above my word here. 10,000ths, then it would go on to 100,000ths, then millionths, and it would go on infinitely in both directions. Okay, I know those are some big words to write out. Okay, so it says roll the die to create a 7-digit number. So this would be exactly 7 digits, so you need a number in the hundreds place all the way to the 10,000ths place. And your partner will record their number in their own workbook. And here it says, if you don't have a partner, play with a family member or create 2 numbers for yourself to use. So you're competing against the other person to make the smallest number that you can, smaller than theirs. And you get to pick the number where your numbers go, which is really nice. So on this next page, when you start rolling, you can see that you do get to pick where your numbers go. So here they have it set up still 7 digits, but all the way to millionths, which is perfectly fine too. So let's say that these were the numbers I rolled. 1, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 5, 4. Oops, I actually wrote 8 numbers. That's okay. 5. Okay. So now my goal is to pick the smallest number. Well, I know having a 1 here is going to make that the smallest no matter what. So I used a 1. And I know that if my partner didn't get another 1, having a 1 in my tenths place will also make that smaller. Because if they had to use anything bigger than 1 in their tenths place, my number is automatically smaller. And then if they used a 1, I'm going to try and think, because they wouldn't show me their number while they were making it. So if they had 2 1s like I did and were as big-brained as I was, then I still need to I need to use my smallest numbers first to make my number smallest. So I'm going to do my 2s, then my 3, then my 4, and my 5. And as long as my partner had a number that was bigger than mine, even if they could have made a smaller number, if I made the smaller number, then I get the points. Okay, and so if you go back to that first page, here are the rules for how you continue playing and keep looking. I didn't go over rules 3 through 5, but fun game you can play. Really work your brain out, okay? So feel free to do that. We might work on it together in some practice time if we have some downtime. And last but not least, as always, you have this extra practice at the end. Again, you might not need to do it, or after you do that skill check twice, you might be like, ugh, Miss Norrid, I need some help, and this is going to be a good page to come back to. Okay, so if you ever need anything, these are great examples, great practice problems. They are linked very closely with the practice problems online in your skill checks, on your tests. So if you do these, you're going to get all the practice, okay? So I will see you